So this is a really interesting one because it touches on a hot topic, but in a way that I think people won't expect. So number 5 is GLP-1s. So GLP-1s, if people sort of are following the news, these are the drugs behind the current spate of weight loss drugs. But more importantly, they were designed for working with diabetes because they help your body sort of manage sort of it's the insulin and the glucose relationship. But it's a class of drugs where people are discovering that they seem to be able to do almost anything. So and number 5 here was GLPs, not for weight loss or not for diabetes treatment, but for degenerative disease. And talking about how there's evidence emerging that they activate brain pathways for longer, healthier lives.
This is wild.
And this was new to me. But it's just yet another thing that these drugs seem to be able to do in terms of actually helping your brain function better for longer.
No, I thought this was, and also this one I would put in that category of like, though the GLPs we've had, that's not the innovation. It's the application of it in ways that we didn't really know yet, or maybe you didn't even plan for. And for, so GLPs, right, this glucagon like peptide. And again, the commercial thing, most people know it as Ozempic or
Mounjaro. So personally, I'm on Mounjaro for diabetes, not for anything else. So I'm reading this thinking,
you do look good, by the way.
But I'm reading this thinking, does this mean that my brain's going to be working better? I'm still waiting for this to happen, by the way.
At least it's not the opposite. At least that's usually what happens is you're like, new study finds the thing that you are on is now worse for you than you thought. But I think this is really, well, there's a couple of things for me that I react to this. One is this is possibly tremendously amazing to have this unintended discovery that this drug is also having potentially positive impact on things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's,
that's it,
right? These degenerative neurological diseases. But also like, I mean, it's wild that we're having this, but also again, how connected the human body is in all of these elements.
That's right.
Okay, so originally, how do we handle this insulin issue with diabetes and kind of work that and discovering that, hey, if you can fix some of those issues, also what are these other things that are potentially, and what this is not saying is that diabetes is directly associated with Parkinson's or Alzheimer's.
Not at all. No. This is a drug that seems to be having effects in multiple systems that you wouldn't imagine.
Unknown ways. And again, from my perspective too, I'm like, how refreshing is it, literally? Because I'm one of those people when I try to avoid taking medication unless I need to. And then you look at it and you're like, caution, may cause, and you're like, how many of these things are worse than the thing I'm taking it for in the first place?
Whereas this is caution, may improve your liver, may improve your brain, may improve your sort of pancreatic system, may improve,
you get a little better looking while you're doing it, maybe, I don't know, like, but it was interesting. But, I think again too, these are, I think the application here, the neurodegenerative thing, early days, but signs are the signals are increasing that this is something really to pay attention to.
We'll see whether there's another sort of craze and a run on these drugs. Because this is obviously what's happened with weight loss. I mean, for many cases, this is off-label, but people are desperate to get hold of them because they see the advantages. Interesting to see whether WEF has actually started a new run on these.
Right. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. Could we not have had this information long enough ago to buy stock or something? I don't know. It's incredibly cool. I think this is going to be an interesting space to watch as well, because also, I mean, we're going to get now, just because, as you mentioned, the popularity of it for its original and unintended first side effect was weight loss. Right. But as a result of that, the massive adoption of it is also, we're having massive case studies now to watch what happens with this. So, I think this is one of those drugs in particular that we'll see. And again, I look at this and go, well, what other things might it do too? Because, I mean.
And actually you look at the research, there's a whole raft of things where they're seeing effects. And again, we have to be a little careful because there's a big difference between a study that indicates an effect and a double-blind clinical trial that actually proves it.
Right, absolutely. But I mean, and again, and this, I would lump this in the category too of some of these unintended or unknown possibilities that have emerged. I mean, again, even going back to the work that was done with the COVID-19 vaccine, and seeing by using some of the technologies and tools to sort of rapidly develop this technique of those being applied to things like MS, like multiple sclerosis, right? So looking at like, can we, and I'm like, and that is again where you're like, wow, using these tools, and then you start to see these other massive health implications there. Could be just absolutely exciting.
Yeah, so that was an exciting one.